Welcome back to another episode of Whiskey Wednesdays. Today I'm joined by Tishmal, all the way from LA, and really excited to chat with her about her music journey and her most recent single that came out on the 12th, Bed of Roses. How's it going? Excited to have you here today.
Thanks so much. I'm so glad to be here. Love it.
So tell me a little bit about, just in case anyone doesn't know you, how you got into music and who Tishmal is.
Yeah, that's a great start. Well, yeah, I'm Tishmal. I grew up in San Diego, California, and my parents are really quite musical. My dad had a career in media and film score, and as a creative director, he did all the things, wore all the hats. And so, my mom, she also studied music. She was like a classical pianist most of her life. And the two of them together really created this like carefree space for me and my siblings to just enjoy music. It was never like one of those things that was forced on us, but their love for music just really influenced our whole family. I'm like number 4 out of 5 kids, so there's a lot of us. I know, but we all sing and like play an instrument, and we love to like at family get-togethers, like we'll jam together, and it's like nothing professional sounding, but it's just really, really fun.
Oh, that sounds so fun, just to be able to like be with people you know and share something you love together.
Yeah, totally. So yeah, I grew up just writing songs instinctively. It was something that I had always turned to as like a coping mechanism. As a teenager, I was not good at like expressing myself or being in tune with my body and my feelings, and music was such an outlet for me, and it still is to this day. And that eventually led to studying music in school and college, and then moving forward into having it be a career.
Nice. And so your mom did classical music. Does that ever like inspire you in your current like writing process?
Yeah, my mom, I don't know. I feel like everything you listen to is going to influence you. Like, growing up and hearing those influences and like whether I studied it in school or, a song was on the classical radio station, like those influences are always there. And between her and my grandma and that side of the family, they really love that classical music. Like, I don't think my mom was even allowed to listen to some of the music, like rock music. Like my dad, on the other hand, was like classic rock, like the Beatles, Heart, Eagles, like all of the classic rock bands out there. So I don't know, both of them are an equal influence, and I would definitely say, yeah, like that's always going to be something that, inspires you and makes you want to write better things, like what great musicians and great music to grow up with,
Yeah. And especially like just being able to play with so many different styles and express yourself, like you're saying, like you're having trouble expressing yourself in a normal way, or like not normal way, but like in words or something like that, but doing it in music.
I had trouble expressing myself even in like a normal way. So I just didn't, like I said, I wasn't really connected and in tune, but music really helps that.
Yeah. What do you remember like the first time you sat down and wrote something that just like made you like really feel something?
Yeah. So it's kind of funny, like some of my fans will know, but this like the very first song that I remember being like, okay, I'm gonna write a song, because I remember like being a kid and singing and making up little things, but nothing like seriously or intentional. And then I think I was like 6 years old or 7, and my little sister and I shared a room, and I was on the top bunk and she was on the bottom bunk, and we couldn't fall asleep at night. We would like stay up talking to each other. I am a night owl, and I always have been, and so as a kid it was really hard for me to fall asleep. And one night I remember staying awake and deciding that I would sing my sister a lullaby and that I was gonna write it. And so like it's a song I still remember, and my sister and I sing to each other as like a joke. It's like, if you dream of a dream of a dream to dream. Like, it's so precious and cheesy, but that was the first song I remember writing. And yeah, it's this cute lullaby about like rainbows and ice cream and ponies, just like, you know, your basic 6-year-old interests.
So cute.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. We joke about it all the time.
I mean, starting off, even just like a simple song like that at 6, like that still like gets your creative wheels turning and gets you learning about like what is a song, what fits in a song, how do you like put words together.
Yeah. Oh, totally.
And so Bed of Roses, speaking of songs, that came out on the 12th. Kind of around the Valentine's Day time, which seemed a little fitting based on the lyrics in the song. Do you want to explain a little bit about the writing process, like how that song came to be?
Yeah, I'd love to. So, like back this last summer of 2020, I ended up moving out to LA, and I did some sessions, just a few, obviously trying to be safe with COVID. But one of the very first sessions I did was with Christian Metis, who's the producer and co-writer on the track. He's awesome. He's worked with Lovely the Band, the Aces, with Pink, tons of other really great artists. And I was so excited to work with him. And I could tell from the beginning, really understood what I wanted to do with my music and the way that I love pop music, but I also like exist in the indie and electronic world, and how I love that kind of pop fringe space. And he had recently purchased a Mellotron, which is like one of my all-time favorite synthesizers. It's like a sample-based synth, so it'll take like a flute sample, for instance, and like then that becomes your keyboard, is all these different flute sounds. And maybe there's a better way to explain it than that, but I just love the Mellotron. Like the Beatles' Strawberry Fields Forever, the intro, I'm like 90% sure that's a Mellotron. It's just a cool instrument. And he had been making beats and loops with it, and the main loop that you hear in the song is from that Mellotron. And I just loved it. And we listened through a couple different like tracks he had kind of been playing around with, and I really just like hooked onto that one. And right away I heard these melodies, and I jumped into the vocal booth and just kind of ad-libbed over the top. And then we came back into the other room, and like, it's a rare thing, but immediately I had just my notebook open, and then just like all these visuals and ideas like came to my mind, and I just knew, okay, this is what this song is. And that doesn't always happen. It was just like such a fast experience. And I ended up finishing the song in like that, like pretty much that day. It was so cool.
When was that session?
So that was back in, I want to say it was in August of 2020.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, that came out pretty fast.
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, it just depends. Like some songs, you know, you'll write like years in the past, and take so much time to get them out or to release them, or it just takes a while to finish them, honestly. So this one was definitely on the faster end of the spectrum.
Yeah, and I definitely hear like that dreamy, atmospheric, like pop fringe sound in this song.
Yay!
Very soothing, and you can kind of just like to it.
Yeah, I love that. Anytime someone wants to just like, you know, vibe out, that's just what I love. I love that. I love to feel that connection with people.
Yeah. Do you have like a favorite like experience like connecting with somebody over music or over your own music?
I actually do. This one's pretty personal, but it's like one that was kind of a pivotal moment for me. Sometimes it can be hard to pursue a creative path, and I hit this point like I think it was last year, or no, let's see, it was in 2019. I was just starting to feel pretty down. There's a lot of obstacles and self-doubt that you have to overcome as a musician, and I was feeling pretty blue and feeling pretty sad, and I honestly struggle with anxiety, and I think at the time I was a little bit depressed even, and I was living in New York City and the music scene wasn't feeling right out there. Again, I'm so happy to be here in LA. I grew up in California, so things are good now. But in this particular moment of time, I was low. And I posted some of the lyrics to one of my songs called Can't Breathe. And it's basically a song that talks about wishing that you could take away someone's suffering. And at the end of the day, you can't, right? Like all you can do is really love and support people. And sometimes that just sucks. And anyway, so I shared that on an Instagram post and didn't think anything of it. It was just like, I want to share like this song. Like, I hope no one else out there feels like alone and we're in this together kind of a thing. And a few weeks later, I ran into a friend of a friend in New York City who happened to be there for a business trip, and I didn't know this person or hadn't met them before, but they're like, "Wait, you're Tishmal, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, I know you through this person." I'm like, "Cool." And he's like, "Actually, I have some of your lyrics screenshotted on my phone." And he shared with me how he really struggles with depression and was just really feeling the weight of the world, and this person has struggled with suicide in the past, and he said how his wife had screenshotted that post and sent it to him, and that it just helped him shift his life around, and in that moment that he was struggling, really just gain perspective. And it was like such a like beautiful moment, and it helped me, like knowing that it helps someone else. Like if there's one person out there who's gonna hear a song and have it like bless their life for like better, then it's worth it. Like all the hard things, all the obstacles, it's gonna be worth it.
That's like the beautiful thing about music too, is that it's not only it's helping you express how you feel, but other people will relate to how you're expressing yourself and feel a certain way, and it makes them be like, oh yeah, this is helping me.
Yeah, I love it. Especially like this year of COVID, it's hard to feel like you're connected with people when we're all so socially distant and we're talking over Zoom, and yeah, I love that music can be this continual, like I'll give to you and you'll give to me, and it's this ongoing circle.
Yeah, one of my favorite things to do is share music with people too, and that definitely is like a great connector, even from you need to listen to it, and if it makes them feel some way, it's awesome.
Oh yeah, I'm all for it.
So Tishmal, it's not your real name, your born name. It was a name that it means hummingbird in Luiseño.
Yes.
I would love to know how you came to call yourself Tishmal and where that came from.
Yeah, let's talk about it. That's a great question. I'm so glad you asked. Tishmal is definitely not a common name. So I am Native American on my dad's side, and it's a huge part of my life, my culture, and I'm like, one of the last of my people, the Payom people, the people of the West. I actually grew up on my ancestral lands in San Diego. Our tribe is from that area, as well as Riverside County, all the way out to the Channel Islands, like Catalina. So it's just a big part of my life, and I'm really grateful for my ancestors and their survival, or else I wouldn't exist. And one of the ways my family and tribe honor their memory and remember who we are is through the tradition of Native names. And so when I was like 11, around then, my dad pulled me aside one day and he gave me this really beautiful little hummingbird music box, and he told me that my name is Tishmal, and that would be my name in our tradition. And we had a really good talk about the importance of remembering where you come from. And so as I was approaching this project, I thought a lot about what I wanted to name this project, this artist moniker, and Tishmal felt really, really right. I love knowing that as I perform and as I sing, I can share these songs with people, and at the same time have this like name that grounds me to who I am as a person.
That's awesome. Is there a significance with Hummingbirds at all?
Yeah, so in the creation story in our tribe, and I mean, keep in mind, there are over 555 federally recognized tribes in the U.S., and we're just one of so many, and all and every one of them has their own unique, beautiful culture. But in our creation story, Tishmal is essentially a messenger between heaven and earth, and helps just share messages as people cross over into the next life and approach Momot, or the giant ocean. Tishmal is a guide, and yeah, it's just an honor to have that name.
I mean, it seems fitting because you do share messages, not specifically maybe between earth and heaven, but it feels kind of like a spiritual thing sometimes with people in music, and that's really cool.
I love that. Thank you. Yeah, I definitely feel like music connects you to something greater, and yeah, it's a special thing for sure.
Do you ever take any of your ancestors' culture into account when you're making music?
I mean, yeah, it's always going to be part of me. You know, I was raised with these stories. I was raised with an understanding that people had to fight to survive, and I think just every day I try and remember that. And as I write, I definitely use metaphors and nature, and it's something I've always been connected to and I was taught is a sacred thing. And so, yeah, like, I don't know how I could separate the two. It's just part of me, and therefore it will be in the songs in that way. I don't know that it's like necessarily an intentional, like, I'm gonna make this sound a certain like native way. I don't know how to do that. I just know how to be me at the end of the day, and that's what it's gonna be.
Yeah, it's always just gonna be ingrained in you, so it'll come out whether you know it or not.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's true with everyone, you know, like we all come from somewhere, and there's these little things and ways that we think, and our perspectives, our filters on life, like that all comes from the people who came before us.
Yeah. I know you had to we were talking a little bit before we started recording about you've been like moving around a lot during this time. Have you been able to I know like in August you recorded Bed of Roses, but have you been able to do any other like writing or keeping up with stuff like that while we've been kind of shut in a bit?
Yeah, it's been such a weird year for music, like not having any touring or anything like that, but I am grateful it's giving me time to write a lot of music. And one of the tracks I did last year was Blinded by Your Light with Mark Benjamin. He's a DJ actually based out of the Netherlands, which, you know, is on the other side of the world. And obviously you can't travel right now. So we did the whole track like on WhatsApp. We're like texting each other back and forth, like, what do you think about this melody? Or what do you think about this vibe? And yeah, we ended up working on that track completely remote. And I haven't even met him in person, but we talk over WhatsApp and send ideas back and forth. And so that was a really cool collaboration to have that song come out last year in the midst of a pandemic.
That is so cool. And that's probably going to be how a lot of people are communicating for a while now, just in working together. It's totally great to find ways to work together, but from very separate. Yeah,
it's become a new normal. And I miss it. Like, I miss working in person. Honestly, it's so hard to work alone, but when you can figure it out, it's really great.
Oh, what have been some of your favorite on stage memories? I know because we're just reminiscing from missing live shows.
I know, right? Okay, on stage. Let me think really quick. Okay, I remember actually going to Toronto on tour. I opened for the Aces in 2019, and they're awesome. I love those gals. And their fans in Toronto, like, it was probably like, I don't know, 20 degrees outside, maybe colder. So like a winter storm like that's happening right now on the East Coast had recently happened before the show, and it's snowy, and all these girls are like lined up. The show is sold out, and I just remember like stepping onto the stage, and before like anything happened, these fans are just like screaming, like anytime I would like flip my hair or like, I don't know, do anything, they would just like scream, and it was so loud, and they were definitely the loudest crowd, and it was just so much fun, and like you could just feel that wall of energy just hit you, and I miss it so much.
Yeah, there's one thing about like hearing that somebody like likes to experience your music, but being able to experience it together is so cool.
And that's one of the weird things about this year is like I've released these tracks, I've seen the listeners and the monthly listeners on the Spotify thing, you know, going up, and it's like I know people are out there listening, but it just is like, well, I guess they are, and that's kind of all you hear about it.
And you can't share that joy.
I miss that connection. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite like venue that you've played in? Like, do you like smaller venues or larger venues?
Yeah, I love them all. I love any kind of venue. If I'm on stage, it's like I don't know. I'm just so grateful. It's such a unique and special thing I get to do. But there is one in Provo, Utah. When I finished school out in Utah and started performing there, it's a small venue. I think it's like 300 capacity room, maybe a little bit smaller. And it's got all this creepy old art on the walls and animal heads and very vintage looking, and it's so fun and dark, and it's just a great vibe. And yeah, I've played a ton of shows there, and it's kind of like my hometown, you know, that hometown feel is at Velour, and it's just so good. Like the Neon Trees, Imagine Dragons, the Aces, they all kind of sprouted from that same music scene and played shows at Velour before they, you know, took off in their careers. So it's really special. I love playing there.
Yeah. Wow. That sounds like my dream venue. I don't play music, but I love going to like kitschy little like that have character.
Yeah.
And bring something else to the table.
Mm-hmm. If you're ever in Salt Lake City, Provo is just like a 40-minute drive. It's near a beautiful canyon with snow or mountains and waterfalls, like awesome nature. You can go hiking if it's the summertime. Definitely would recommend. I mean, as long as we're out of the pandemic and things are safe.
Yes, for sure. Once we can, that sounds wonderful. I definitely want to go.
Yeah, you'll love it.
Oh man. Is there anything else we haven't covered that you'd want to talk about?
I don't know. I'm just so happy to chat with you. Bed of Roses truly is my favorite song I've released yet. And so I guess I would just love to tell everyone to go stream the song. I would love you to hear it, listen, share it if you like it. As we talked about, connecting over music is where it's at, especially in, you know, pandemic, socially distant times. To be able to connect over a song is just another way to lift your day a little bit if you're feeling the pandemic blues. So
yeah, and we'll have all that information below, like Tishmal's Spotify and her Instagram, so you can connect with the song and connect with her.
Thanks.
And thank you so much. It was so nice chatting with you today.
Yeah, thank you.
I hope everybody else has a good one, and until next time. Bye.
Take care. Thanks.